20 facts you didn't know 5 minutes ago? Be amazed. 8.1 million views. Damn.
In the age of the internet, an entire gold mine of knowledge is never more than a few clicks away. The problem is that it's sometimes...
Yeah, I always feel stupid when I see these videos. And it's like the most obvious thing ever. And I've been doing it for like my entire life, not realizing I'm doing it wrong. Made me feel like a jackass.
Just too much out there. How do you decide what's worth knowing and what'll only clog up your brain with useless nonsense? That's where I come in. From the weird and wonderful to the downright amazing, coming up are 20 facts you didn't know 5 minutes ago. A cucumber cure. Picture this. You have a first date
cure for
planned
what?
at a fancy restaurant. But when you arrive, you realize you forgot to bring any breath mints with you. And to make
it freshens
matters
your
worse,
breath?
You've just ordered garlic bread as a side. Fear not,
I love
friend.
garlic bread.
All you need to do is order a side salad with cucumber. You see, fibrous vegetables such as celery and...
I'll just say this. I don't like cucumbers. Go fuck yourself, cucumbers.
Cucumbers boost your mouth's saliva production, which washes away odor-causing bacteria and, in turn, cures bad breath. For a simple hack, holding a slice of cucumber between your tongue and the roof of your mouth for about 90 seconds can help to eliminate nasty
Well, that's very
odors.
helpful. I'm never
And
going to
if
use
there's
that,
no
though, because
cucumber
fuck
on
you,
the menu,
cucumbers.
parsley also has the same odor-neutralizing effect. So, just discreetly chew on your garnish, and you should be covered.
That's probably why they give it to you.
Mysterious fingernail markings. Have you ever glanced down at your fingernails?
I am
and
now.
noticed some bizarre white markings that weren't there before? This
No.
kind of discoloration is actually a common condition known as leukonychia. Most of the time, it doesn't signify anything serious.
I think I've had those
and
before.
There are a number of potential causes. The primary reason is as a result of injury to the nail bed, which
That makes
can occur
sense.
if you accidentally strike or pinch your nail. Because of the time it takes your fingernails to grow, you might not even recall the injury by the time any white spots show up. Leukonychia can also appear as an allergic reaction to cosmetic products, like polish, gloss, hardener, or nail...
Yeah, I've never put any polish on my nails, so I've never had that problem.
Remover. Sometimes it can also mean your nails are deficient in certain minerals or vitamins, most commonly zinc or calcium.
That's
But
probably my
unless your
reason if I ever
entire
get
nail
it.
turns white and you experience any pain, these markings will usually go away on their own, so there's no reason to worry. Now that I've got you looking at your fingers, why don't you make them useful by heading on over to those like and subscribe buttons and showing them some love?
Yeah, go
See that
subscribe
little
to Be
bell
Amazed.
icon? You should totally tickle that too to make sure you're the first to know when I upload more amazing
1
content.
million
Now,
party
let's
badge?
get back to boosting your brains. Say prunes. Before
What?
you have your photograph taken, you should expect to hear the oh-so-familiar
Say
phrase,
cheese.
say cheese.
Yeah.
But back in the day, prunes were on the menu instead. In the 1800s, most people weren't comfortable smiling due to a general lack of good dental hygiene, which meant they didn't have very attractive teeth. Having your photograph
Too bad they didn't have cucumbers there.
taken was also considered a luxury and was treated with a good deal of seriousness, meaning a big, cheesy grin was seen as childish. So, photographers in British studios in the 1840s told people to
Oh, I hate to tell you, but it is still now. If you look at TikTok, all the childish people with their smiles on their faces.
say prunes to keep their mouths taut instead. And that predates today's fish-faced pout by about 180 years.
Oh, they're
By the
mewing.
mid-20th century, photography had become much faster, cheaper, and more casual. Plus, people had better teeth. So when Kodak started making cameras in the US, which ordinary people could afford to buy, they marketed them with photographs of smiling faces. Former ambassador Joseph E. Davies was the one to come up with the idea to say cheese as the perfect formula for an instant smile. And the rest is...
It does suck, though, that a lot of these things get made like say cheese, but no one gets credit for it. Like, no one remembers who actually says it first.
is history. A flaming hot invention.
Ooh, what is this?
In 2019, Flaming Hot Cheetos were declared America's favorite snack brand for the
Really?
third consecutive year. But what if I told you that the super addictive
I find that a little bit wrong. Because that means a lot of people would like the spicy stuff. I got a feeling that a lot of people don't like the spicy part of it.
Snack nearly didn't exist at all. In 1976, 18-year-old Richard Montañez was hired as a janitor at a Frito-Lay plant in Rancho Cucamonga, California. The position paid $4 an hour with benefits.
Let me guess, he accidentally spilled something on it?
Filled out the application for him because he struggled to read and write. While on the job, Montañez noted that a broken machine on the Cheetos assembly line had spat out a batch of plain Cheetos without the cheese powder dust. Montañez took the Cheetos home and dusted them with chili powder. He credits the idea to a favorite snack, grilled corn dressed with lime and chili powder sold by
That actually looks really good.
Montañez first pitched the idea to former PepsiCo CEO Roger Enrico over the phone and was given 2 weeks to prepare a presentation to the executive suite. Of course, it was an instant hit. Montañez went on to become an executive vice president at PepsiCo North America and is now a best-selling author and motivational speaker.
All because of one mistake, too.
Inspiration.
Imagine that. What if he didn't actually work there? Let's say he didn't get the job as like a janitor, and that happened where like the plain Cheetos just happened. We would have never had those spicy Cheetos. I always like to think about like moments in time where things could have been different. Like one little thing changes and it changes the course of everything else. It's amazing when you think about it.
Shock the difference. If there's one thing Americans and Europeans will always bicker over, it's chocolate. If you've sampled both sides, there's no denying.
Yeah, because the European and Canadian ones have a lot more sugar in it. It's a lot sweeter. The Americans have less sugar because they can't really handle it. No offense. I don't mean any disrespect by that.
And that chalky tastes totally different across the pond. But why? The simple answer is different regulations. Firstly, European chocolate is technically creamier because it requires a minimum of at least 14% dry milk solids, while the minimum amount in the US is 12%. Euro chocolate is also slightly richer because it's required to contain at least 3.5% milk fat compared to the 3.39% needed in the US. What's more, European chocolate is, well, just more chocolatey. That's because it also has a higher requirement for cocoa content, which gives bars their deep flavor. But that's not the only reason why Europeans love to hate American chocolate. You see, Hershey's also uses a special ingredient that sets it apart from the rest: butyric acid. This ingredient makes the chocolate last longer on shelves, but also gives it that tangy flavor that many foreigners find off-putting. Does that settle the age?
Yeah, because I'm Canadian, and whenever Americans come over here and my friends and whatnot, and they try the chocolate and stuff here, they hate it. They hate it with a passion, because Canada and UK chocolate are almost identical.
Old Hershey's versus Cadbury debate for you? Let's start a healthy discussion about this.
We have Cadbury in Canada here too.
Which brand of chocolate do you personally prefer? And if you can think of any other foods that taste different in your country, go ahead and let me know.
Wait, was that Walkers instead of Lay's?
The comments below. Which brand of chocolate do you personally prefer? And if you can think of any other foods that taste different.
Yeah, that's... Oh my god. I've never seen Walkers before. 100% great British potatoes, salt and vinegar, and classic Lay's. That's in Canada too, but we don't have Walkers. It's weird how Canada has a mixture of some American stuff, some UK stuff, and then also some Canadian stuff. Especially for flavors. Like Lay's, they have like ketchup chips and all dressed chips and stuff.
In your country, go ahead and let me know. I'm genuinely interested. Let's get back to the facts.
Oh, look how darker the bun is.
Dunce caps for smart people. At one point in the Middle Ages, the dunce cap we now associate with idiocy and punishment was actually a symbol of respected scholars. It all began with master philosopher and metaphysical thinker
so it changed
John
over time
Scotus, whose name later lent itself to the phrase dunce cap. Scotus was a proponent.
So this must be one of the things where, just like in the hospital when boys used to be covered in pink blankets. Boy or girls used to be covered in blue blankets, and then some over time it just changed. So it's like a reverse roles. And I'm guessing what this is going to be is the smart people wore it, and then over time the dumb people wore it.
Of the use of pointy hats, believing they would somehow act as a reverse funnel for knowledge, with wisdom flowing into the pointed tip and spreading to the brain below. These hats were also popular among his followers, known as dunsmen, and therefore became a signifier of high intelligence. But by the mid-16th century, popular thought had begun to turn against SCOTUS, and the dunsmen came to be associated with idiocy instead. Naturally, their pointy hats were adopted as a symbol of stupidity.
3 plus 2 equals 8.
Elementary school classrooms where they were used to traumatize and humiliate.
Oh, I'm so glad I
kids
never
until
had
the
that
late
in school.
1950s. The Spanish Eiffel Tower.
Spanish
The
Eiffel Tower
is one of the first things that come to mind when someone asks you to think of France. But this world-famous landmark almost ended up in Spain. Designer Gustave Eiffel first pitched the plans for the monument
Oh,
to
the Eiffel Tower,
Barcelona,
yeah.
but the city rejected his ideas, thinking it would look like an eyesore. He was forced to re-pitch the project elsewhere,
Wow.
and the tower found its home.
And this is what I was talking about before. Like, one little thing changes it all. So imagine your whole life, the Eiffel Tower is associated with France, when it could have changed history and been in Spain. That is insane.
In Paris, where it served as the main archway for the 1889 International Exposition. Surprisingly, the Parisians didn't like it much either. One critic even referred to the enormous iron structure as a metal asparagus. The tower wasn't supposed to stay up for long, and was even offered up for sale as scrap. It was only spared because the French army found that its 984-foot height worked pretty well as a communications tower. Thankfully, this famously hated sculpture
Can you imagine
has
if they
since
actually
survived
broke it
to
down for
become
scrap
one of the
metal?
world's most well-loved landmarks. Who needs kneecaps? Did you
What?
know that a baby's body has about 300 bones at birth compared to the 206 bones?
I have no
that
idea
adults
what the
have?
hell they're gonna say
Over
here.
time, the process of smaller pieces fusing together reduces the number of bones in the body. One seemingly crucial thing babies aren't born with is kneecaps. Instead, babies are born with a piece of cartilage that will eventually become a bony kneecap, or patella. Cartilage, which can be found in the nose, ears, and joints, is flexible and
So it's
can
something that grows
structure
over
where
time.
it's needed
That's
in the body.
really bad
Most
AI.
children's kneecaps began to ossify, that is, turn from cartilage into bone,
I didn't know they
between
didn't have
the ages of
kneecaps.
2 and 6. Often, several pieces of cartilage will begin to harden into bone at the same time, until the kneecap is one complete bone by the age of about 10 or 12. Being born with kneecaps could actually make the birthing process more difficult.
Oh my God,
or
yeah.
could even result in
Trying to come
birth
out of the
injuries,
vagina?
because bone is rigid and less flexible than cartilage. Isn't the human body smart? Space booze.
Oh, I want some space
Drifting
boost. Now we're talking.
10,000 light
I want
years
some
from Earth
vodka.
in a constellation far, far away is a massive cloud of alcohol. The cloud, which was discovered in 1995 near the constellation Aquila,
Wait.
is one.
Does that mean if you fly into that area in space that you can get drunk? Because alcohol can be absorbed in your body 3 ways. Your mouth, your skin, and then I forget the other one, but you know what I'm talking about.
1,000 times larger than the diameter of our solar system. What's more, it contains enough ethyl alcohol to fill 400 trillion.
Oh yeah, you can get
trillion
space drunk.
pints of beer.
That's what I'm
Anyone
talking
got a
about.
rocket I can borrow? Sadly, the cloud is 58
Get some drunk with some
quadrillion
aliens.
miles away, so an interstellar
Wake up with a
pub
space
crawl
baby.
is probably off the cards. What's more, it contains a cocktail of 32 compounds, and some, like carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, and ammonia, aren't so desirable. Another alcohol cloud, called Sagittarius B2, also holds 10 billion liters of mostly methanol alcohol, which is used in antifreeze and windshield
So
wiper
what would-
fluid. But how?
So what would happen if someone's on a space mission and the plane goes across this area? Let's say they have to do maintenance on the outside. So they get in their spacesuits, they go out. Would they get drunk? Could they get drunk, I should say?
How did this cosmic hooch get up there? Well, if the conditions are just right, simple alcohol compounds can form completely naturally in space, often on the surface of bits of floating space dust. As this dust moves within the high-energy vicinity of celestial bodies, like stars, the alcohol is forced to separate from the dust, forming massive alcohol clouds, which then float off, presumably to get some aliens very drunk. I wonder if space booze goes well with moon cheese.
That's the dream there, getting drunk with aliens.
Use your head. How many times have you parked your car in a parking lot and walked away only to realize you forgot to lock it? Instead of retracing your steps
None, because I'm not an idiot.
It's in range, there's one simple way to reach your car from further away. Hold the metal key part of your key fob against your chin, then press the lock button.
What?
You might look slightly weird while doing it, but you'll be grateful when it saves you a few extra steps.
I don't get that.
The trick works by turning your head into an antenna, according to Silicon Valley radio engineer Tim Pozar. With all the...
That is weird. So, because of what's in our brain, you can use your head as an antenna if you put it under your neck, and then you move your head around towards the car, I guess? I'll have to try that out. I'm trying that out tomorrow.
Fluids in your head and the electrical currents flowing in
may
your
look
body.
like a jackass in the parking lot, but I'm
going
to use it.
Decent conductor. It won't work across great distances, but using your head can actually
I'm going to try it
extend
tomorrow
the
and
key's
look like a
wireless
jackass.
range by a few car lengths. Battery hack. Most modern smartphones are supposed to have a great battery life, but it seems
Except for
to me
iPhones.
like they're always dying when you need them the most. Thankfully, there's one super simple way you
Is this
can
the,
make the most out of
air
your
flight
remaining
mode?
juice. If, like most people, you carry your smartphone around in your pocket, then part of the problem might be that your pocket is too warm. You see, cell phone batteries do actually last a bit longer if they're kept cool. The average 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit body heat of a human being when transmitted through a cloth pocket to a cell phone inside is in...
This is the same theory as a drink. So when you get, let's say, a bottle of pop or something, and you hold it by like the base of it, the heat from your hand actually transfers to the drink. So the longer you hold that bottle in your hand, the hotter the drink gets. So what you want to do is like hold it, I think, from the bottom or the top, but it's the same concept where your body heat is transferred to the item to warm it up.
Enough to speed up chemical processes inside the phone's battery. As a result, it runs down at a faster rate. The simplest way to keep your phone cooler is to carry it inside your bag or on a belt clip instead.
Yeah,
and
I'm not
if you
doing
ever
that.
Find yourself
Go
away
fuck
from
yourself.
home without a charger, you can switch off your phone and pop it in the refrigerator to slow
What?
the battery losing charge. I don't recommend using the freezer though.
Okay, 1 second. I'm going to try this out right now. Where's my phone at? Where's my phone at? You sons of bitches. Where's my... Oh, there it is. Okay, we're going to see how it is. I just put it in my
Surprising
fridge.
salmon. Salmon is one of the most popular seafoods in the world. But if you've ever prepared the fish yourself,
I hope they're not trolling me about putting the phone in the fridge. I just did that.
then you'll have probably run into the issue of that white, funky stuff that seems to appear when you cook.
Is that the
it.
one that
Most
gets you
people
high?
assume it's just fat, but the white gunk you see oozing from your dinner is actually a simple protein called albumin.
Ah.
Whether boiled, baked, fried, or barbecued, the substance will still appear. Albumin lives in fish in liquid form and appears when the muscle fibers are heated and they contract, pushing out the white-colored protein.
Yeah,
Although
get
it's
that white
totally
protein in
safe
your
to
mouth
eat,
and drink
some
it.
people find it unsightly.
Yeah,
To
'cause it
try and
looks like
remove
cum.
albumin, you can either blot the cooked fish with a paper towel or brine it before cooking. To brine your fish, just give it a quick soak in a blend of sea salt and water.
So you
which
want to
should
grind
help
that
to
fish
relax
so
and
the white
dissolve
stuff
the
comes
muscle
out and you can
fibers
drink it?
and minimize the
Okay,
appearance
then.
of albumin. Giggling rodents. Rats aren't
Why
the
the
most
fuck would you giggle a
conventionally
rodent?
cute animals, but their reputation as disgusting vermin seems a little harsh, especially when you learn that they're ticklish.
Who
A
the
study
hell would do
conducted in
this?
2016 was able to pinpoint the tickle center of the mammalian brain,
Yeah,
showing for
that
the
guy
first
sounds like a sick
time
bastard.
that stimulating neurons in that particular region can elicit a series of ultrasonic squeaks that are too high to be heard by human ears. Shinpei Ishiyama, a neuroscientist at the Humboldt University of Berlin, noted that the rats not only return
I can't pronounce
over
any
and
of those
over
names.
again to the place where they were tickled, but that tickling their bellies also triggers the neurotransmitter dopamine in the key reward-related brain circuits in the rodents. If that wasn't enough to prove that they love being tickled, rats also show a classic display of positive emotion found in many species, such as dogs, foxes, and even human children, called joy jumps. True to their name, this involves
I'm so glad I'm
leaping
not
into the
ticklish.
air with both legs together. Talk about a cuteness overload. Disappearing socks.
Oh, this
During a
I want to
clothes
know.
wash, socks
This
seem to
bastard's always
creep
stealing
into
my
the
socks.
yawning abysses of the laundry drum, never to be seen again. But where do they really go? There are actually a couple of explanations for their mysterious disappearance. If you have a top-loader machine, a sock could sneak into the crevice between the inner and outer drums, then get snagged in the water drain or pump as a result of overloading the appliance. It's also possible for a sock to get stuck underneath the spinning agitator. For front-loading washers, though, a rogue sock might get lodged just
So that's where all
underneath
these
the rubber
socks went,
water seal,
the
known as
bastards.
the gasket. And if you pull this part back, you could find a gold mine of lost
Oh my
socks.
god, I have to
Even
check
if
that after
socks
this
do
video
make it to
too.
the dry cycle, they can be easily victimized by static electricity and get stuck to the inside of pant legs or other materials during the folding process. In short, no, there isn't a sock-eating monster
There better
in a
not
washing
be.
machine. Waterfall wonders. Niagara Falls is pretty big, but it's far from the
It's like the biggest waterfall,
known
isn't
to
it?
man. Some claim
Oh,
Angel Falls
never
in
mind.
Venezuela is the
He
world's
immediately
tallest,
debunked me,
with
the
a
bastard.
staggering height of 3,212 feet and a plunge of 2,648 feet. But that doesn't even come close to the truth. The Denmark Strait is more than 3 times the height of Angel Falls, and it can be found in the ocean.
I'm so glad I don't live in
This
Denmark.
mammoth
Imagine falling off that
waterfall, located
waterfall.
near the southern tip of
Get
Greenland,
drunk off
begins
vodka and
2,000
space
feet
beer.
under the ocean surface and plunges to a depth of 10,000 feet, a nearly 2-mile drop. What's more, the Denmark Strait carries an estimated 123 million cubic feet of water per second. That's equivalent to almost 2,000 Niagara Falls at peak flow. But
That's
how
insane.
can a waterfall happen underwater? Simply put, cold water is denser than warm water. In the Denmark Strait, southward flowing frigid water from the Nordic seas meets warmer water from the Irminger Sea. The cold, dense water quickly sinks below the warmer water and flows over the huge drop into the ocean floor, creating a downward flow that goes completely undetected without the aid of scientific instruments. An iPhone secret. Apple's newest set of iPhones come with a whole array of new features, not to mention a hefty price tag. But there's one thing that sets the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro
what's
Max
that?
models apart from their predecessors. In addition to the 3 super-powered cameras, look a little closer at the back of the phone and you'll notice an inconspicuous black dot in the bottom right corner.
have that on
It's
Android,
completely
too.
flat to the touch and pretty easy to miss on first glance. But what is it? It's officially known as a LiDAR scanner, which stands for Light Detection and Ranging. This is a
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have that on,
optical distance and
Android as
speed
well.
measurement, which uses tiny laser beams that can't be perceived by the human eye. A LiDAR scanner determines the distance between itself and an object by monitoring how long it takes a laser to bounce back. By sending hundreds of thousands of light pulses every second, LiDAR scanners can accurately
It's crazy
work out
that technology's
distance and
got to
object
this
sizes
far, though.
over
I'll
small
say that.
distances. The data can then be used to construct 3D models of any environment. So, whether you're an architect drawing up building plans, an archaeologist creating real-time 3D maps, or a gamer who loves augmented
Hell
reality,
yeah.
This swanky new scanner could revolutionize the way we use our phones.
Old school
sunglasses.
What the hell is that?
Sunglasses, as we know them today, were first
that a
invented
coconut?
sometime in 12th century China. The primitive frames were a crude slab of roughly shaped smoked quartz made to block out the sun. The darkened lenses
So you
were
couldn't
only
actually see
available
through
to
it,
the
though.
very rich. They weren't vision corrected and didn't offer protection against harmful UV rays, but they did help to hide emotions from others while talking. This was particularly handy for Chinese judges at the time, who routinely wore
Yeah, so
smoke-colored
somebody can't say, "Oh, you're
lenses,"
biased
which allowed
against
them
me.
to conceal their true feelings and seem emotionally detached while questioning the accused. But centuries before Chinese judges found a use for sunglasses, rudimentary snow goggles had been used by Inuit and Yupik communities. These snow goggles would be made from driftwood, ivory,
So you could
and
actually
bone
see through
with
these
a slit
ones.
cut into them and protected the eyes from sunlight reflecting off bright white snow. I guess they had permanent cinemascope vision too. No fancy riding.
Is that
There
Tony
are
Hawk?
plenty of bizarre laws across the United States of America, but one particular law in the city of Galesburg, Illinois, is a real sucker for cyclists. No fancy riding. For a definition of fancy riding, look no further
'Cause that's
than
very
the Galesburg
subjective.
Code of Ordinances, which states that no rider of a bicycle shall remove both hands from the handlebars.
Oh my
or
God, they actually
feet
had made
from
a
the
law for
pedals,
this?
or practice any acrobatic or fancy riding on any street.
Is this the
Well,
town from
that rules
Footloose?
out Galesburg for my cycling circus tour. According to a Galesburg police officer, the bizarre law probably came about during a time of great concern about bicyclist safety, when there were more crashes than usual. Thankfully, the law is seldom enforced with any punishment.
Yeah, usually when there's a law being made, it's because someone messed up. And someone took advantage of there not being a law, so now there has to be a law because that guy was a jackass.
So kids are free to take their hands off the handlebars without the fear of being thrown in jail.
Just throw them in jail anyways, little
Life-saving
bastards.
foil seals. Ever wondered why pill bottles have protective foil seals beneath the lid? You might assume it's there to keep the pills airtight, but the real reason is far more morbid. On September 29th, 1982, Mary Kellerman took a Tylenol for a cold. A few hours later, she was dead. That same day, Adam Janis died in exactly the same
From just taking
circumstances.
one?
When his brother and sister-in-law visited and developed headaches, they took Tylenol from the same bottle, and both perished within the next 2 days. In the days that followed, 3 more people
what was
suffered
wrong with
the
these
same
Tylenols?
mysterious fate. By early October, investigators discovered that the pills the victims took were laced with cyanide.
Oh.
Over 31 million bottles of Tylenol were recalled, and a couple more deadly.
31,000 recalled, and then there's still stuff in store. How do you get cyanide inside Tylenol? That's insane.
Bottles were found
That's
on
a lot of
shelves in the
lawsuits.
Chicago area. Someone had taken the bottles off the shelves, put cyanide into the pill capsules, and then placed
So that's why they do like the plastic, so you can tell no one's messed with it. So it's a fresh pair, and it's got the cotton inside as well.
them back. The criminal was never caught, but the following year, U.S. Congress published the Tylenol bill, making it a federal offense
See?
to tamper with consumer products.
Someone
In
made a law 'cause someone was a
1989,
jackass.
The FDA established federal guidelines for manufacturers to make all such products tamper-proof, which included protective foil seals. Ancient apples. They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But what if that apple had been sitting around for a year? Sounds totally gross, but here's the
Yeah,
catch.
'cause it would go
Most
bad.
people have eaten a year-old apple at some point. Apples ripen during
Let me
a
guess,
very
frozen?
short period in the U.S. between August and September. So keeping them in stores for the rest of the year means they must be treated with chemicals and
Of
kept
course.
in cold storage.
Yeah,
In a
cold storage,
warehouse
see
setting,
frozen.
Apples usually sit for at least 9 to 12 months, with one investigation even finding that the average supermarket apple is 14 months old. But that's
That
not
is
all.
disgusting.
Scrape a supermarket apple with a knife and you'll notice something strange. The white substance substance you see here is actually shellac or carnauba wax, which is used to keep the apple fresh.
I'm going to grocery store
Apples
tomorrow and
actually
trying this
produce
out.
Their own natural coating
I'll do
of
it right in
wax,
the store.
But some of that is washed away when growers wash the fruit to remove field dirt or any leaf litter. Applying an artificial coating of wax not only makes the apple look shiny and new, but helps to seal in the moisture, extending its life. But the coating can also act as an oxygen barrier, meaning the apple may look deceptively fresh, but is actually soggy and tasteless inside. What's more,
That is gross.
consuming the wax in large doses could be harmful to the colon and small intestine, so perhaps it's best to stick to just one apple a day from now on.
Yeah, just like one banana a day.
Which of these facts impressed or
Yeah.
amazed you?
That was awesome. Go subscribe to Be Amazed. Good stuff.